What's going on, guys? Cole aka Proximitty here, bringing you a brand new video today. Today we are going to be doing the fourth installment of the Sunday Livecom series. This one is going to be far different from the others that we've done on this series, and for a few reasons. One, it's only going to be over one topic, one question, so there's that. And then also, it is it's going to be, what's it called? It's going to be way deeper than we've gone before. I couldn't really get a no-scope to line up there. That kind of disappoints me. That's okay. Yeah, so if you guys are new to the series, if you haven't watched it, basically, I like to take a couple questions from the previous week's episode and talk about them just in a live-com fashion every Sunday. It's a fun series. I really enjoy it. It's actually not very popular on my channel. It's one of the weaker performing series on my channel, but that is why I feel comfortable sharing some of the more deep stuff that I'm going to in this video with you guys, because I feel like the people that really care about my personality and care about me. Now, I'm not saying that people that don't watch the series don't really care about me, but I'm saying, like, you guys clearly have more of an interest in learning more about me as an individual, and because of that, I want to kind of dive into this question that was asked by Ravager, and he said, getting deep here, but what experience have you had on mental health, and how have you dealt with it all? Also, do you have any advice for people with mental health problems like anxiety and depression? I love your vids. Heart. Thank you for the kind words, Ravager. I appreciate those. And then, yeah, I actually have had experience with all of those things, and I want to talk about those. So before I get too far into that, let me just start off by saying, yeah, I can only talk about my own experiences with these things. I obviously can't speak for anybody else. So if you guys have had different experiences, I'm not trying to, I'm just not trying to say whenever I share my experiences that this is the only way that you can experience depression, all that stuff. This is just my own experience with it. And, yeah, I can only talk about my own experiences, and when I talk about the things that helped me, again, that applied to me, it might not apply to you, and I just want to be open to that and understand that it's different for everybody, and not everybody has it the same. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm trying to say, like, all you have to do to fix it is this, and it worked for me, therefore, if you're suffering from depression, it's as easy as doing that. So, yeah, so, okay, basically, yes, I actually have a good amount of anxiety issues, actively. They've gotten better over the years. But, yeah, I have anxiety issues, and I've been depressed on more than one occasion. It's not an occasion. I've been depressed twice that I can think of. And, obviously, it's no fun. It's kind of the worst thing. I really wouldn't wish it on anybody. But let's get into that. So, I actually first started learning that I had anxiety issues right before I graduated high school. I kind of really figured out what was happening. It would be now and then where I'd start freaking out and having anxiety attacks. But I didn't really know what it was, and I kind of just shook them off whenever they happened. Because I was just like, oh, that was weird. I just felt kind of... not sure. I felt weird right there for a couple minutes or whatever it was, and then in about 2013, 2014 is when I really started understanding what was happening and why I was feeling the way that I was, and then I started trying to take steps to fix that. So yeah, I went to college for a year after I graduated high school in 2012, and I got done with my first year of college, and I decided that I didn't really know what exactly I wanted to do. I was studying art because I'm a really creative person, and I like filmmaking a lot, and I really wanted to kind of study something with film, but the university that I was going to didn't really have a film program, and the one that I wanted to get to, I didn't get into, that did have a good film program. So then my goal was to do the first year at this other university, and then I was going to switch over later to go over to... I was gonna transfer to go to study film. After my first year studying art, I've never really been into school. I've never really a great student. I just don't like school. It's just the honest truth. And after I got done with first year of school, I kind of decided I don't really know what I want to do. But I know that right now I don't want to be in school because I don't know what I want to do, and I feel like I'm wasting my time. And just to clarify, I didn't fail out. Like, I feel like that's what's gonna be. I didn't fail out of college. I didn't. I didn't go back. I never went back. I still have yet to go back, and I don't know if I ever will, honestly, but I told myself that I wasn't going to go back unless there was something that truly motivated me, and that if there was something that I wanted to do that really required a certain level of schooling, then I would do it. And that's the only way I knew I would be able to be a good student and stay motivated, because without that, it wasn't going to happen. And that's pretty much why I still haven't gone back. I yet to feel motivated. I worked in graphic design for a few years, but I was all self-taught on that. I didn't need to go to school for that, so... yeah, I don't know what I'll do, but anyways, so, okay, I got back, and my parents are divorced, so they got divorced when I was 9 years old, that was a whole fun thing, of course. But I still had a pretty good situation compared to most kids. It's kind of common to have divorced parents, you know, in the modern world. It's nothing crazy. I'm not saying I'm a huge victim. But I was fortunate that both my parents still lived in the same town, so I was able to see them both every single week. So I'm very thankful for that. I was able to continue having a relationship with both of them as I grew up, and that was great. So yeah, both my parents, I would live with them. Like I said, I lived with my mom during the weekdays, and then my dad on the weekends. And so that was my life for forever until I got out of school, and then I moved back in with my mom after I got back from college. Now my mom, what you guys gotta understand about my mom, so mom is a very successful entrepreneur. She went through school, and she just preaches the importance of school. And when I told her that she owns her own business, and when I was like, she actually owns multiple businesses, but when I was like, I don't want to go back to school, she was unhappy, to say the least, and she was like, okay, and then she had me working a physical, you know, manual labor job full-time immediately. She had me working for one of her businesses. I think what she was trying to do was teach me a lesson, basically, where she was like, all right, if you're not going to go to school, then you're going to work real hard, and then you're going to want to go to school, and you're going to want to get like a better job where you don't have to do that. And that kind of created a rift in between my mother and myself, because I felt like it was real spiteful of her, and she wasn't being open and understanding to maybe the fact that I wasn't trying to just come home and not do anything. I wasn't trying to just come home and you know, like just sit there and just take all of her money. And I was, you know, I was gonna get I was looking for a job and stuff like that, and I was gonna take the summer to try to like figure out what I wanted to do, and you know, I was gonna be working in the meantime, but I didn't want to do that. And right now I'm 6 foot and I'm 6 feet and I weigh 160 right now, but at the time then I was 6 feet and I weighed 130. So if you can imagine what that looks like, I was a very scrawny fellow, and working a physical labor job just really wasn't conducive to my build, and it was very difficult, and it sucked, and I wasn't good at it, and I hated it, and it was awful. And I live in Georgia, so the summers are very, very hot, and it just sucked. I was outside all day. I hated it. Anyways, so basically, of course, I'm unhappy with my mom and this and that, and we end up having this big falling out, and I get kicked out of the house, basically. My dog just knocked something over. So yeah, I got kicked out of the house, and then I move in with my dad, and so he's right across town. I move in with my dad. My mom takes away my car that she got me for my 16th birthday, which again, I mean, I had that. Like, my mom was never. So you guys gotta. I don't think you guys gotta understand about my mom. My mom was never the person. She's pretty well off. She's wealthy. She's doing well for herself. But she's never been the person. If you guys can't tell, she's not the person that's just like, here, take all this money. You can have all this shit. She was always like, you have to work for what you get. And she helped me out, thankfully, excuse me, by getting me a car. She got my sister a car and my other siblings a car too. Like, that was, you know, we didn't have to worry about that. That was nice. I got a used car. I didn't get a new car. You know, I didn't get like a new, brand new, fresh out the dealership, hot ass car. You know, we got like a first car, and you know, she was like, you know, willing to pay for that, and thankfully I didn't have to save up money for that and stuff. And I'm genuinely thankful for the things that she gave me and helped me out with. But she took that away from me. I bought my phone, but she was paying for the monthly plan stuff, and she took. So I got to keep the phone, but she stopped paying for the monthly plan and stuff like that. So I didn't have a cell phone, didn't have a car, and then I had savings, my own personal savings. I had about $2 grand of savings, and like, this is money I saved up from working for her over the summer, every summer throughout high school and stuff. $2 grand, we're talking. She took that. Like, she still owned the account because I was a kid when she started the account, and she like denied access for me to the account. So I literally had money that I couldn't access. So now she just took everything away from me. She took my car, she took my phone, she took my money. And this was all in spite of the fact that she was upset that, you know, of everything that had been happening. And I don't think that was the right way to handle that situation. But nowadays, my mom and I have a great relationship, and it's fine. So there's a happy ending to that. But so I moved with my dad, and my dad had remarried, as my mom had. So I had step parents. And long story short, I stayed with my dad for a few months. I started working a few jobs here and there, and I'm gaming still. Oh, well, actually, hold on. I guess I gotta rewind just a tad. Throughout that summer, I was trying to find a job, but I couldn't, because if I had gotten called, I didn't have a number to get called by because I didn't have a phone, and then I didn't have a car to drive to an interview should I be able to get a job interview. So that was a whole bullshit situation. But eventually, after a bit, my mom gave me back my car, and and then I got my phone back, but we weren't talking. Like, I didn't talk to my mom for like almost a year. It was pretty shitty. I really hate that about this time. And then basically it gets worse because yeah, my stepmom kicks me out of my dad's house because she basically just was, I don't know. I mean, she was kind of crazy. I really don't know exactly what that situation is. I just sniped my teammate. That was cool. She kicks me out. So I literally, like, I didn't have anywhere to go at that point because I got kicked out of both of my houses. So thankfully, I had really good friends. And Dallas's family was ever so generous. If you guys know Dallas, Big Texas, his family took me in, and I lived with them for a few months until my dad ended up getting really sick. And I moved back in after he got out of the hospital and ended up being okay, and that was a whole shitty thing. And this is all happening over the course of like 3 months. I mean, like, you guys gotta understand. So all this shit's happening in rapid succession. And I moved back into my dad's house because my dad just got sick, and I felt like I needed to be there to be able to help out in any case. And that was really hard on me because, as mentioned, I did have a relationship with my dad, and my dad's a really great guy, and it was just hard. All right, so like all this happened. I didn't know what I want to do with my life. I wasn't talking to my mom. My mom's the person that I go to if I have questions about anything in the real world. If I need help with anything, that's the first person I call. Like, my mom is I always call her up, ask her for advice on things. Mom's a very important person to me, and at the time we weren't talking, and it just sucked. And basically, I didn't know where to turn, what to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was out of high school, year of college, didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had no money and all that shit, and it was just a shitty situation. So I was very depressed. Oh, I also forgot to mention, this is a big part of the story too. My girlfriend of a year and a half at the time dumped me out of the blue, and I was very much into this girl, and she didn't really ever give me a reason. So that all also happened in the midst of there. Every single time I talk about this, I always forget one of the key components because there's so many things that happen, like I said, in rapid succession, where just shitty things happen, you know? And it just, yeah, it was heavy on me. It took a huge toll, and I was depressed. And I didn't really realize it at first. I just, you know, everything sucked, and it seemed like life was out to get me, basically. Which, of course, things have looked up since, but yeah, it really sucked, and it was just a shitty situation. And yeah, I was really depressed, and the path to recovery on that one was a long one. I was easily depressed for a year and a half, really until the beginning of 2015. So that was the early summer of 2013, and until 2015, I didn't start feeling better. I mean, the entire year, I felt like I just didn't care about anything. I felt like if I were, I mean, I remember multiple moments where I was driving around and thinking if I died in a car accident in that moment, that would have been okay, and that's a really bad place to be in. Now, again, I don't know what you guys experienced start with depression or anything that you guys have had to deal with, and you guys could have had it way worse than me. Again, suffering is relative. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that term, but suffering is 100% relative, and what that means basically is like, you can't, just because somebody has it worse than you doesn't mean that things aren't allowed to upset you. You know, if you could be a multimillionaire and you can still easily be depressed and hate everything, I mean, that happens a lot. I mean, look at Chester Bennington of Lincoln Park. You know, recently he had, you know, he took his own life because of depression, and, you know, he had it all from a lot of people's perspective. So, I mean, it's a shitty thing, man. Like, there's no, just because you have what other people perceive to be a better, easier situation doesn't mean that things can't affect you negatively. So all I'm saying is I don't know what your situations are, but I respect the fact that anybody can suffer from depression, as somebody that has myself. And yeah, so going back to my anxiety issues basically where I would have anxiety attacks throughout the day and stuff like that, those were flaring up pretty badly because nothing made sense in life and everything sucked, and I was just having a ton of anxiety attacks throughout. So that was something that I dealt with a ton, and yeah, it was pretty shitty. Never was good, and I still deal with anxiety attacks today. I wouldn't consider myself depressed right now, but yeah, yeah, I'm good, but I still have anxiety attacks, and I try to deal with those on my own. I took medication for it for a while, and I didn't really like the way that it affected me. So now since I did that in 2014, and that didn't really help me. And I mean, it did help, but I felt tired all the time, and I just didn't like the way the side effects I wasn't a big fan of. So then I decided to deal with them by myself. My prescription ran out. I didn't ever renew it, and I've just kind of dealt with it on my own. I found pretty good ways to deal with anxiety attacks, try to remove myself from the situation, whatever is making me anxious. If I can figure out what's doing me anxious. Sometimes you just get anxious, you don't know why. I found ways to deal with it. But yeah, that was the first real time that I've been depressed, and the second time was in 2016. It was late 2016, last fall. Basically, try not to get too personal, but my mom had moved on. My mom lives in South Carolina now. She's moved there, and my dad was still here, and his wife divorced him, and that was real shitty, kind of out of nowhere. And you know, he had been sick, like I mentioned, and he had recovered real well, and I no doubt it was a hard few years for her, but you know, she had to take care of him a lot and stuff, and but she left him, and then my dad was then alone, and then I moved back in with my dad last fall because I felt like he shouldn't be alone. And basically he ended up getting sick again, and that is why, if you remember the last few months on my channel, been talking about the personal family issues I've been dealing with. I moved my dad back to Ohio with the rest of his family, just because he had been sick, and he needed to be with people that can help take care of him all the time, because I can't. I have my own life to live, and that was a real tough decision for me, and it was a whole... It's really stressful. I don't want to talk about that too much. It's a really tough thing for me to talk about, but like I said, I trust you guys. The people that watch this type of content is something that you guys clearly have more of an interest in me, but yeah, it's still rough, and it's still not great of a situation, but I was pretty depressed for a few months. It was really heavy on me. It was really something I took a lot of responsibility for that situation, and I think that was unfair to do. And going into what I try to evaluate the situation from a different perspective, you know, maybe it isn't all up to you. This might be able to help you, and then also tell people about it. If you're feeling depressed, talk to people. Whenever I started talking to people after feeling depressed for about 2 months last fall, I started immediately feeling better, and now I mean, it's the situation's not over with, but I definitely feel better about it, and I don't feel 100% responsible. I felt like it was my fault, and it really wasn't. It's just an unfair situation to put on myself, but yeah, I know this is a very different video than anything I've ever made, but I wanted to maybe share my perspective, and maybe you guys can, I thought I have a good platform here. I've been, you know, I've been a victim to these things, and I thought maybe I could help other people. And if I did, then that means a great deal to me, because it's some of the worst stuff that I've ever had to deal with. And mental health is a big thing, and a lot of people think it's all bullshit, but if you've been there and you've been in that position, then you know that it's not, and it's some of the hardest things to deal with, because it's not like losing an arm or a leg, where people obviously see you have a problem and want to help you. You know, a lot of people don't know that you have a problem, and especially if you don't tell anybody, which I totally understand why you wouldn't, because I didn't tell anybody for well over a year the first time, and then I didn't tell anybody for 2 months the second time that I was depressed. So yeah, it's not always as easy as just going talking to people, but I definitely, if you can find the strength and find people that you trust that you can talk to confidently, then definitely do, because it'll really help you, I think, get back on the path of recovery. So I really hope that this was helpful to people, and I know this last part got really real, and I was just talking without any gameplay, but I really just want to try to share my perspective, and maybe you guys can learn something about just me as a person, if anything. If you haven't dealt with any of this stuff and you've heard this out, then cool. But yeah, it's just something that's really personal to me. I saw that question, and I immediately thought, this is something I should talk about, because it's something I do have something to say about, and maybe I can help people. So again, thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll chat with you guys tomorrow in my next video. It'll be something much more lighthearted, I promise, but take it easy, guys. Thanks for listening. Oh, comment questions for next week down below. Let's do next week more like just normal Q&A. Ask me about things that I like and shit. Don't ask me about this stuff. Okay, thanks for Aperture for the question. Much love, guys. I appreciate it.